This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
Kia ora and welcome. Namaste. This is Emergence News. Welcome to the program. It's great to have your company. And in the studio with me today are Peter. Good morning, Peter.
Good day, Nigel. How are you today?
I'm well. Actually, you're looking good too.
Great.
And you, John?
Don't talk to me at the moment. I'm just finishing my first coffee.
Yes.
I'll be with you shortly.
For those of you who are members of the John fan base, he's just finishing his caffeine hit for the morning. Usually we record this program, and at the end of the recording, John has his first coffee of the day, and he's sometimes gagging for it.
It just hasn't worked.
So here on Emergence News, we are part of an organisation called Share International New Zealand. It is actually a global organisation, and we primarily work in the area of disseminating information about Maitreya the World Teacher for this coming age, and he is the head of the spiritual hierarchy. And we've talked about the hierarchy and Maitreya on many programs in the past. Today we're going to talk about initiation. Have you ever thought about the evolution of consciousness, Darwin and physical change? Each kingdom grows out of the kingdom below. And the human being, you and I, we're at a point where spirit and matter meet. Esotericist author Benjamin Creme, he says, out of the human kingdom has been growing another kingdom. And this is the spiritual kingdom, made up of masters and initiates. The spiritual kingdom, or the kingdom of souls, is the kingdom immediately above the human kingdom. So as you evolve to a point, the man or woman on the physical plane, you enter the spiritual kingdom through the door of initiation, or the doors. There are 5 doors in which you pass to become a master. And all of the masters have achieved these 5 initiations. So today we're going to look at the 5 steps. And to do that, the captain of the ship today is John.
Yes.
And why John is the captain? Well, it was your birthday yesterday.
It was my birthday yesterday, yes.
Yes.
I'm regressing, as you're all about to find out.
Okay, so in just a moment, John joins the program and he'll steer the ship today.
Yes, and before I do that, Peter, I want to get your brain in gear around the 6th and 7th initiations.
Oh, yes.
So have a think about those. But I'm going to cover off 1 to 5. Okay, now before I start on the 5 initiations, I'm actually working from my Transmission Volume 3, and I'm in around page 373, 374. But before I get into the 4 initiations, I just want to pick up a little bit on what Nigel said around evolution on the planet. And he quite rightly mentioned masters and the spiritual kingdom. However, there is another evolution on this planet, and that is the devic or angel evolution. And Benjamin Creme, and if you're interested in angels, archangels or devas, deva is the Sanskrit word for angel. Benjamin Creme in the esoteric teachings mention the angelic evolution on this planet a lot. It's a really interesting topic. So just before I get into this initiation, Benjamin Creme is asked, do devas reach a particular stage in their evolution and then individualize or incarnate as humans? First question. Or do you mean that some devas are in effect human because they are our solar angels? Now, we know that the human soul is actually a solar angel, and that in itself is a staggering idea. And if that intrigues you, you need to dive into Benjamin Creme's teachings. However, he answers the question, and this comment is one of two comments that Benjamin Creme said that started me on this inquiry in my life. He answers the questions. All life is in process of becoming human, is human, or has gone beyond the human stage. All life, right? This planet, right?
Yeah.
The stars, the cosmos.
So whoever is ahead of us has gone through the human experience.
Yes. So Maitreya, in his wisdom, knows what it's like to be us, swimming in the mud at the bottom of the pond. Right?
He is the teacher of man and angels
alike, which is the quote. Okay. So anyway, I'd love that. I'd love that idea. All life is in a process of becoming human, is human, or has gone beyond the human stage. So he answers the first question. Yes, if they are subhuman. So do divas reach a particular stage in their evolution and then individualize or incarnate as people? He answers yes, if they are subhuman. And the second question, do you mean that some divas are in effect human because they are our solar angels? He goes, no. Solar angels, our souls, incarnate in human bodies. Essentially, they are emanations of the divine spark of God. So a solar angel, Peter, my interpretation is essentially they are emanations of the divine spark of God. The human soul is a solar angel, and essentially they are emanations of the divine spark of God.
Well, that's who we are, is a monad, which is the spark of God, and then it manifests through a soul, which is an intermediary.
Right.
Yes, and that's how it works.
Because divinity and the monad, which is the individualized reflection of divinity, can't come down to the bottom in the mud of the pond.
That's right.
So it has to break itself down or stage itself down into lower forms.
That's right.
Not that I'm saying the human soul is a lower form, to penetrate the mud.
That's right, yes.
Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the soul is manifesting through basically what you would call an animal body.
Yes.
Yes, and so it is made up of these tiny divas. It's not us. It is a construction of divas who actually manifest on the physical plane.
Right.
And we, the monad, come through a soul into this human body.
Right.
But we are part of God.
Yes.
In actual fact.
So the other quote that rocked me was Benjamin Creme said, humanity exists on the horizon between matter and spirit.
Correct. Yep.
So we are bubbling away on that horizon.
Slowly spiritualizing matter. Anyway, fantastic stuff. All right, okay. So evolution and initiation. So I've gone to page 374 in Maitreya's Mission, Volume 3. So, and actually, interestingly enough, Nigel, he ticks off with evolution as a concept we associate with Darwin. However, Benjamin Creme says, I'm talking about the evolution of consciousness. And he mentions Darwin and says Darwin, quite rightly, has identified the physical body of the animal kingdom, and out of which grew the human kingdom. The human being is not simply an animal, but is the point where spirit and matter meet. The individualized human soul has taken incarnation 18.5 million years ago. So each kingdom grows out of the kingdom below it, which is how you kicked us off. And there are 5 steps of planetary initiation. Now, I just want to preempt that by saying on other planets, they try other systems. Right? So I don't think the 5 planetary initiations are unique to this planet, but it is an experiment on this planet, and there are other ways to evolve the human soul. So on Venus and on Mars and the other planets in the solar system, they may have used a different system.
The final goal is the same, though, the master. Okay, so let's start. The first step, and interestingly enough, we've talked about steps, we've talked about initiations 1, 2, and 3 quite a bit. And we've kind of summarised it, Nigel, by saying step 1 is mastery over the physical body, right? And Krem has said the physical body has 4 motivations: sleep, eat, rest, and fornication. And if you're doing anything more than that, you're disciplining the animal body, right? Step 2, we've talked about mastering the emotions, the emotional body.
The astral centre.
The astral centre, right? And that step between 1 and 2 is the hardest, the toughest. And if you're listening out there at the moment, you'll know that mastering your emotions seems at times almost impossible, and you're right. And I think Benjamin Krem has said, Peter, between 1 and 2 is where the greatest number of incarnations are, right?
Yes, it is the most difficult for most people. The third ray have the most problem with the third initiation, but
the rest of us struggle.
Most of humanity is working on the other rays, and I think over 40% of us are on ray 2 souls anyway. So
right.
The majority of humans are ray 2 souls anyway.
Okay, so getting over that second initiation is really difficult. And I can't remember exactly, but I think Benjamin Krem says maybe 13 lifetimes between 1 and 2, first and second initiation.
On that subject, just to give people a sense of the big picture, how many incarnations approximately have we had before we take the first initiation? How long do we keep coming back and forth?
Look, I know I've said this before, but every now and then I'll read something that Benjamin Krem says, and I feel like the Matrix, where I'm lying in that pod with all of those tubes attached and my whole body wiggles. You know, it's like he says stuff that shakes me. And he's talked about we've had thousands of incarnations.
In fact, hundreds of thousands.
Yes, right?
It's unbelievable. It's beyond our understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, why are we taking so long to get there?
Because, Peter, we're thick, okay? There's no other idea. We're stupid.
Now, John, you've talked about accelerating that process. For anyone that really wants to accelerate the process, meditation and service is the key.
Boom.
The key to moving forward in your personal growth and development.
In other words, Nigel, stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about others. Anyway, so 2's the tough one. 3 we've talked about, and that's where you're starting to manage your mental aspects, your mental body, your mind, and we've talked about that being 3.
Now, just on that, Benjamin Krem says the third initiation, from the point of view of hierarchy, the masters, is the first true soul initiation.
Yeah. And he talks about at the third initiation you are ensouled. Now, even then it's not perfect. When I talk about 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, when you cross that line, it's not a complete crossing, if you know what I mean. There will still be aspects of your life.
Still work in progress.
That you're dragging along. And we've talked before about quite high initiates, 2.4, JFK, for instance, 2.2, I think. He had some issues.
Winston Churchill, third degree.
He had some issues.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not talking perfection, but we're talking trustworthy in useful in the eyes of the masters, right? Because you've managed the physical and emotional side of yourself, and you're starting to use your brain. And dear listeners, we don't use our brains that much.
No.
You know, have a look around. Is there a lot of brain power on planet Earth? Especially in politics. And economics, for God's sake. Anyway, so what are the 5 steps? Now, Benjamin Krem, interestingly enough, relates his description of the 5 initiations through a Christian mindset. So listen to this. He's asked, what are the 5 steps? He says the first step, the first initiation, is the birth of the Christ principle. The whole thing is reenacted in the gospel story, the life of Jesus symbolizing this path of initiation. Of course, he said it's much older than Christianity. It's almost as old as humanity itself. and has been presented to humanity over and over again in different ways and in the past. And I did mention we're thick. We're slow learners. Okay. In the gospel story, Benjamin Cream goes on to say the birth of Jesus at Bethlehem is the symbol for the first initiation, which is called the birth at Bethlehem. The birth of Christ in the cave of the heart. That takes the man or woman into the spiritual hierarchy for the first time and demonstrates control over the physical body. Now, I dived into our wonderful list of initiates, and an example of first-degree initiate, or close to, not quite. Elvis Presley was a 0.8, so not quite a 1. And obviously from Elvis's history, he hadn't managed the body at all. Okay, Louis Armstrong, a 0.6. He was a musician. Brendan Behan, an Irish writer who had issues of his own, he was a 1-degree initiate.
Bruce Lee.
Exactly
1 degree.
Exactly 1 degree.
And he, later on in his life, he really got into the Krishnamurti teachings.
Interesting stuff, wasn't it? Who else? Jimi Hendrix, 1.3. Right, so they're starting to struggle with that physical desire aspect.
Jim Morrison was a 1.3, the lead singer of the Doors, and he had issues.
Yeah.
But look at the impact that all these individuals had.
Oh, look, I was just going to say that. Elvis, we're still talking about it. Louis Armstrong, still talking about him. Jimi Hendrix, still talking about him.
John Lennon.
So although they were around that 1-degree initiation, they had a big impact. And the thing that strikes me is that to be a first-degree initiate and have an impact on the world, you are punching above your weight. You know, really, you are fighting against your physical desires and you are struggling with that emotional baggage that we all have, by the way. These guys are really punching above their weight.
They clearly incarnated, but they were on a mission.
On a mission.
On that lifetime.
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix.
But now they say that there's millions actually at the door of the first initiation on this planet.
Yeah.
And you see this with their, going to vegetarianism.
Yes.
Getting fit.
Yep.
Doing the biking, doing the running.
Yes, Peter. Yeah.
These are all the signs of people heading towards that
first initiation.
Or re-emphasising that first degree.
One of the point that Peter's making is as you approach these initiations in your life, you will feel a desire for purification. You'll feel a desire to clean your act up. And particularly that first initiation, Peter, you've hit it right on the nail. Listeners, if you are exercising, if you are managing your diet, if you are managing yourself to some degree, you're on the right track. And if you feel a sense to get your act together, you're on the right track. And I think that's really important. Okay, number 2, the second initiation is called the baptism and is symbolised by the baptism of Jesus at Jordan by John the Baptist. This demonstrates control over the emotional astral vehicle. Okay, who was around 2? We've already mentioned a couple. Albert Einstein, 2.2. Sigmund Freud, 2nd degree. Gandhi, 2nd degree. So look, they are incredibly powerful individuals.
Rudolf Steiner, 2.2. Martin Luther King, 2. As you say, Gandhi, spiritual leader in India, he was a 2-degree initiate. Roger Bacon, 2.6 degree initiate. He was a philosopher back in 1214 to 1292. Because you've talked about him in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, well, he became Francis Bacon 400 years later.
And was a 3-degree initiate by then.
And he was the 3rd-degree initiate by that time.
Yeah. Now, things speed up once you're getting
once you
to
get
this
past
level.
The 2,
things speed up.
Things speed up because you've mastered the emotional. And honestly, have a look at your window at the moment and look across the planet and see what human emotion is doing to us as a people and as a planet. We are tearing ourselves apart because of how we feel about stuff. You've got to get over it, right? Yeah. Okay, now, 2nd degree initiates, I've said, Einstein, Freud, Gandhi, incredibly powerful individuals. So there is hope there, listeners. Once you get through the mess that is that 13 lifetimes between 1 and 2, you're going to start being a good person and start contributing. although you're not quite there. Okay, third degree initiate. It's called the Transfiguration,
yeah.
And is symbolized by the transfiguration of Jesus on the Mount of the Olives. For the initiate, this is the culmination of the lower process that integrates the three lower vehicles, physical, astral, and mental. From the master's point of view, this is really the first initiation because it's the soul initiation. We've already mentioned a couple of threes. Francis of Assisi, 3.5. Winston Churchill, third degree. William Shakespeare, 3.5. Honestly, that guy must have been of God back in the day, right?
Yeah.
If you were hanging out with William Shakespeare, that long ago, he must have been emanating energy and power. All right, we're moving on.
Alice Bailey, 3.2.
3.2. Once you get over that 3, you can really start moving and shaking.
But like Benjamin Creme, she must have had the right ray structure to be able to work so closely with a master of wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, his ray structure was the same as Shakespeare.
Who's that?
Benjamin Creme's ray structure. Yes.
Really?
Yeah. And you see that, so I suggest he's possibly the English master.
Ah.
Shakespeare. By now.
Because he was 3.5 several hundred years ago, he would be a master now.
Easily.
Because on previous programs, John, you've talked about Krishnamurti and the physical challenges that he went through. Now, this was shortly before he became a fourth degree initiate.
Yeah.
So for Creme and Bailey at 3.2 and 3.3 respectively, to be able to work with masters, they must have had a very interesting ray structure to be able to, like the overshadowing process, for example, with Creme.
Yeah.
He must have had the ideal physical equipment.
Look, he talked about, and I know we're off topic here, he talked about that his ray structure was unique for the work, but quite a bit of suffering, Benjamin Creme I'm talking about, that he's not mentioned. My suggestion is he's either been so well built to come in for that incarnation that he didn't have those physical challenges
built for the job,
or he had the physical challenges and just didn't tell anyone. What am I up to? Fourth degree initiates, all right. This is a fourth degree initiation. Benjamin Creme tells us symbolized by Jesus dying on the cross. It is called the crucifixion. In the East, it is called the Great Renunciation, where everything is renounced, even life if necessary, to demonstrate the lifting of the initiate out of matter into the radiance of spirit. Jesus went through it on the cross to demonstrate it for us, physically to set this great experience of renunciation before the world. Now, fourth degree initiates, Jesus, obviously, fourth degree initiate, Krishnamurti, fourth degree initiate, and Blavatsky.
And Roerich.
Both fourth degree initiates.
Both Russians.
Yes.
Both in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when the Theosophical Society was underway as an instrument for all the information to come through.
Yes.
But they were two very powerful women.
Yes. Now, I think from my memory, Blavatsky had all sorts of health issues.
Especially later in life.
Right. And Peter, we've talked about these initiates, these highly evolved individuals.
They're burning off karma, eh?
Yeah. Who are not quite masters are burning off massive amounts of karma.
That's right. Yeah, they often have ill health and all sorts of struggles that they're burning off karma with. Yes. And
I sometimes wonder if Krishnamurti's discomfort, which we've talked about a lot, was either due to, as I've said, that fist of energy being thrust through him and shaping him, or he might have been burning karma off.
Or both.
Yep. All right. Fifth initiation. This is called the resurrection. The resurrection of the body of Jesus on the third day symbolizes the resurrection initiation in the man who is now a master, man or woman, is freed from the pull of matter forever. The master is in a body which is totally resurrected, a body of light. Every initiation confers on the initiate more and more energy of subatomic particles. By the time he or she is taking the fourth initiation, 3/4 of that body is literally light. It looks normal, but it's radiating light. So this fifth initiation is the end of incarnation on this planet. They can choose to go elsewhere, right? Who are masters? Well, we've talked about many of them before, but Apollonius of Tyana, 5th degree, Confucius, 5th degree initiate. He was a master who clearly chose to remain. So really interesting concept of initiation, the 5 planetary initiations.
This is the Emergence News on Plains FM. For more information, go to shareinternational.org.
This is Emergence News. What a subject. The 5 doors to initiation. Really great work, John. I've got a quick quote here I thought you might be interested in from Benjamin Krem. He says, the disciple is known by their control of their environment. The initiate is recognised by the extent of his service. Because we've talked often about the difference between a disciple and an initiate. So the disciple is known by their control of their environment.
Yes.
But the initiate is recognised by the extent of his service to others.
So does that mean we are disciples up into the 3rd degree, Peter, and then after that you're an initiate?
Well, I mean, there's various interpretations, but some of the interpretations are once you've taken the first, you are an initiate.
You're on the way, aren't you?
Because
you're on the process.
There's no turning back.
Oh, yes.
It is a hothouse system.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go for the initiations, but it is designed as to, you save yourself millions of years of incarnating.
Yeah.
If this subject turns your wheels, further reading, we suggest Alice Bailey. She's got 2 volumes on the subject, Initiation, Human and Solar, and the other one is Rays and Initiations. And we'll be talking about Rays next time on Emergence News, and on that program, Peter will be the captain of the ship. Well done today, John.
Thank you very much. That was great. That's exciting stuff.
It is. It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.